Hello and welcome to our screencast of our 7th grade overview to give you a flyover about what the 7th grade experience will be for Valley View Middle School students. My name is Eric Lowe. I'm the assistant principal here at Valley View, and on behalf of all of our staff, both in the 7th grade and 6th and 8th grade levels, want to welcome you. A few things about this screencast is we'll talk about what goes on in 7th grade, look at some sample schedules and classes, and then give a quick overview about the registration process. In 7th grade, there's 3 types of classes that students will take. There are core classes that involve math, science, social studies, and language arts. And in these core classes, students will take a math class based on their previous year's math class. They'll take science based on their previous science, whether that's pathway 1, our traditional pathway, or pathway 2 with our compacted, the focus there being life science with each of those classes. In social studies, students will understand U.S. history with a focus on those standards. Students may engage in regular social studies or an enriched option. And then lastly, students will engage in language arts and can do that also in a regular or an enriched option. And you can learn more about those in our course guide that we'll get to in just a moment. Students will also engage in exploratory classes. One of those will be PE, which is a required class that takes place throughout the year. Students will also be up in 4 different exploratory options: art, design and robotics, which is a STEAM class; FACS stands for family and consumer science, as well as health. Each of these is a 1-semester class that students will engage in throughout the year. And then lastly, students will be a part, in our traditional language students, I should say, will be a part of elective choices such as a world language, where they take a continuation typically of their 6th grade year: Chinese, French, Latin, or Spanish. Music, where they can choose a band, choir, orchestra, or music exploration experience, or in replacement of music, they can take a STEAM class that is media arts and coding, media arts for 1 semester, coding for the other. If you want to learn about any more of these classes, you can dive into our 7th grade course guide that is linked to our registration materials, as well as accessible at our website. If we look at a schedule for a typical 7th grade student, it still involves A days and B days and involves advisory at the start of each day. You'll notice that there are still blocks and skinnies. A block is typically 80 minutes, which means that we combine 2 of our class periods, and a skinny is approximately 40 minutes. So in this schedule with a typical 7th grader, you would see a block class for their 1-2A class, and you would see a skinny class for their 5B, meaning that block class is approximately 80 minutes, and that skinny class is approximately 40. If we were to look at a typical schedule for a traditional language 7th grader, we would see these core classes falling on either A day or B day. In this schedule, this student has math 1-2A, language arts 7-8A. They have science 1-2B, and social studies 3-4B. These are their 4 core classes that they take. In green, we see their exploratory classes. The student would have FACS for semester 1 and health for semester 2 during their 3-4A time. And they would have design and robotics semester 1 and art semester 2 during their 7-8B time. Those are block classes for a semester. We also have a skinny of PE that's an exploratory class that students take throughout the year. And then lastly, the elective choices for students, where this student would have taken French as a world language, and then they would take their other elective choice that they chose as band. And that, in this instance, is a skinny every day. If we were to look at the schedule for an extended French student, it looks slightly different. Our extended French students must drop either design and robotics or FACS in order to fit their schedule in. Typically, what that would mean is if a student drops design and robotics, that we would shift health to a full year skinny for them in replacement of the traditional language. They would pick up an extended French language arts class that is their world language, and they would also continue to take social studies in French, which is their EF social studies class. Again, they're taking 3 of those exploratory experiences, FACS, art, and health, along with 2 classes that are in French. A couple of reminders about registration. There are 3 steps for students to be registered. One of them is to learn about next year's classes, which you're doing now. And the second one is to complete a pre-registration Google form. Both steps 1 and 2 should be done at home with a parent or guardian. After you finish step 2, you'll receive a summary email where you can complete step 3 at school. What that should look like to you is this. That first step can begin with our registration guide that your student should have received an advisory at school as well as been emailed out. And it's also accessible via the link at the bottom of the screen that guides you on this journey. Once you complete those steps, feel free to ask any questions that you have. You could reference our website, you could reach out to our main office, or you could contact any of the adults below, and we would be eager to support you in this registration process or to answer any questions you have about the 7th grade experience as a Valley View student. I want to thank you for watching this screencast. We look forward to having you as a 7th grader next.